welcome everybody. This is Chris from Docketwise, and I am pleased that you were able to attend the webinar today on Smart Forms, well, Smart Forms Advanced, let's say. In this webinar, we will be covering the following, which will consist of the fundamentals of smart forms, smart form collections, flagging, commenting, and translating, custom intakes, as well as custom intakes with custom attributes. So let's get started with the first topic, the fundamentals of smart forms. So there are two types of smart forms that we're going to go over. That is smart forms that will generate a questionnaire that will automatically populate immigration forms based on the answers provided, as well as custom intakes, which are customizable questionnaires that can be sent to clients, and then those questions will then populate into the Docketwise database. So let's get started with actually creating a form. This time, we'll just go to the Docketwise dashboard and click Create New and choose Form. Let's say this time we're just going to prepare a simple case for an N400. So we'll choose the G28. And we will select that and also the N400. We can just type in the names of the forms, even without the dashes, and the results will come up below. So we can select that. Let's say we don't need any more forms for this. We're not going to do the G1145 for this case. Let's now assign this to a contact. I already have a contact for this for Noelia. And I'll assign that to a matter, which is optional, by the way. And we will choose Noelia as the beneficiary for the forms. Here, we also can select the preparer. I'm the only user on my account, so of course I will select myself as the preparer for this. After I've selected all of the correct fields, I can click the Create Form button. And here you can see the complete questionnaire that can be filled out by yourself, the attorney, somebody working with the law firm, as well as be shared to a client for them to fill out the information. For them to fill out the information, there are various ways of sharing this with the client. We can share it with them via text message, via email, via a portal invitation and share it to the portal. But for this specific use case, we'll just do more actions and share it to their email address. So we'll just click more actions here within the smart form. We'll click share. And then we'll choose the contact. So we're going to send it to Noelia so she can finish filling it out. And let's invite. So we have the invitation sent. And let's say we come back and Noelia has completed her smart form. So we'll go to this one that I had created before and then had filled it out, but just a hypothetical to show what an N400 filled out will appear like, and then also show you how it appears on the USCIS forms. So here we have all of the questions that are needed for the N400 and G28. And then we also have this, the information that is tied specifically to the contact. So we have all of this here, and let's just go to forms so we can go in and look how that appears after having that information filled out on the questionnaire. So first we have the N400. We can see all of this has been filled out here. So we have, just to go through, all the information has been filled out, and we can see that also information about myself as the preparer has also been entered into the N400 and the G28 as well. So here we have my hypothetical firm name, firm details that appear here. So just to go ahead and show you how to get that information for the preparer to fill out correctly, I had indicated that I had set myself as the preparer. So that's why my information is appearing here. So in order to update my information as that preparer that was selected, I would go to Settings on the left-hand side and click Prepare Information. And then here I have all of the options I need to update my information as the preparer or the attorney preparing the application and filing it. Next, let's say we want to create, we want to jump to creating a custom intake instead of creating a smart form for a form collection with immigration forms. So here, this is, like I said, a customizable questionnaire that you can send out to your clients based on just what questions you want to ask specifically. So to get back and create that, I will go to create new, choose form. I already have this custom intake created, and I have it called K1 initial document request. So here, I will just choose K1 initial document request and intake under my custom intake section within the forms. Choose that. Let's say we're going to assign it to another client. Let's say Andy. And then we'll also choose a matter. And let's say Andy will be the contact for this form. After that, we can do create form, and then this custom intake will be created into a smart form. So you see here, we have all of the questions that Andy will be filling out. Information about himself, I had just chosen full legal name for this. And then we have other requests where we are asking for the full legal name of the foreign national, for in this case, the K1 I-129F fiancé petition, as well as email address of his contact. Let's just say we got hired and we didn't have the information provided. And in order just to get in contact with the fiancé as well, we would also be wanting to have that information. And finally, another aspect of custom intakes, which I will show more about in just a moment, is that you can have document requests. So in this tab, I had added some document requests. So for this, a client would simply receive this. It would look just as it does here, and they would be able to upload all of the files. So each value should be chosen when creating this. I'll show that more in just a moment as a document request question. Seems I had not chosen that correctly here. I had chosen a text response, and that's why it's showing up like this. But just to demonstrate how this works, let's say I want to choose file, and then I will just do this, find that file, and then let's say for the birth certificate, we'll upload that. So this is the birth certificate of the US petitioner. And then we get the message that it has been uploaded successfully. Now, let's say I want to share this with the petitioner, but I want to share it via the client portal, just to give them a central place to have all their information organized and such. So I had already enabled the portal for this contact, but if you had not enabled your portal, you would simply click the slider bar right here to enable it, and then a prompt would come up for you to enter the contact information there, as well as the email address to invite the contact to the portal. So just to show you how that, first we'll go and share the form to that individual's portal. So in order to do that, we'll go to Forms, click the checkbox here, More Actions, and then click Share to Portal. Here, we can share it directly to his portal. Click Submit. Now if we go back here, we can see that it has been shared to Andy's portal here. If we want to remove it, we would simply click that trash can icon. So now we have the view of, we can preview the client's portal to see what it looks like. This is just a preview, so we don't have the capability to open the form here. But this is how it would appear for the client. They would click this to upload and upload their documents and enter their information. So next, we'll move into the theme of, or let's say the topic of smart form questions. So smart form questions, smart form questionnaires or smart forms relating to immigration forms, which can then be grouped into, let's say, a smart form collection. So a smart form collection would be a group, let's say a normally used group of forms that are used together for a certain type of petitioner application. So one example I could offer right now is that example we just did for the N400 and the G28. the option there would be to set those two forms together as a smart form collection. And then we would just simply choose the smart form collection instead of importing two forms manually into that. And that does help save some time, especially when we get into bundles, let's say, of bigger bundles of forms for applications or petitions. So we'll move into creating a smart form collection right here. I got here by going to settings and then choosing, we'll choose the option for smart form collections right here. Here we'll create a new collection. Let's say right now we want to create a, let's just say a TPS collection right here. So we'll enter TPS as the title. And let's say the forms we need, of course, we'll need the G28, I-821, as well as 765, so they can have their EAD as well. And we'll create this collection just by clicking this. So you'll notice each time I want to add a form, I would just simply click the Add Form button. So now that I have this collection, I have my title, I have the groups or the group of forms that I want to be included in this collection for later use. I can just click Create Form Collection. Now we'll go back and let's say we want to create another collection. Let's just say this time for an H-1B petition. So we'll create a collection here again. Just name it H-1B petition. And we'll choose two G28s. Next, we'll do, let's say, an I-129, including all the supplements. Let's do an I-539, as well as I-539 supplement A. And we will save our collection for the H-1B petition as well. Now, in order to actually create these collections, we'll go back to the dashboard, we'll click Create New, and we'll select Form. Here, we'll also see the collections, so Smart Form Collections, and as I had shown before, custom intakes appear here, and then all of our smart forms will appear below. So let's say we want to create an H-1B petition, just so we don't have to enter out all those forms again. We just choose the option for H-1B petition, and all forms that are part of this collection will automatically be added. All we have to do is assign the petitioner, matter, beneficiary, etc. So let's go back. There's also another option that we can use to create a smart form collection, and that is just simply when creating a smart form. So now that we have already gone on the dashboard, click to Create New, we can also add this right here as well. So let's just say we want to do, let's say an AOS one-step petition for a spouse. So we'll add two G28s. And then let's go with the petitioner's forms first. I-130, 864. And then we'll do the other forms as well. So let's say the 130A, 131, 485, and 765 as well. So let's say we have this form collection right here, and we're in the page to create a new form, and we have created one, and we actually want to save that combination for later. So what we would do is just click this checkbox below the forms we had entered to save that group. We would enter a name right here. So let's say we want this to be AOS one-step spouse. So we'll assign it to a client, let's say, so let's say we'll do a different contact here, and then we don't need to do a matter just for these purposes, and then we'll choose the petitioner beneficiary as well. So we'll choose beneficiary first, and then petitioner. We'll move on to that. Let's say we want to choose choose this contact, actually, choose Tammy. Okay, and then we have this here. And now that we have checked this box, enter the title, when we click create form, that will save the new combination, as well as creating the forms that can be then filled in and shared by either you yourself or your client. So to go back, just to show how that reflects, we'll go back to Smart Forms and Settings, and we can see as well we have this one right here. So if we want to edit it, we can just click on that title, and then we will be brought here, and then we can make any changes that we deem necessary. So now let's actually jump into the more advanced theme, let's say, of flagging, commenting, and translating smart forms. So for this first use case, we're actually going to flag and comment on a smart form questionnaire that was already filled out by a client that needs some follow-ups as well as corrections, let's say. So let's say we had an I-129 F petition for Andy that was already filled out. So we'll just open up the form. Sorry about that. So let's just, this is the form right here. Here it is, actually, under the beneficiary's name. So we already have this completely filled out. So let's say we want to make just some follow-ups for this. So let's just say, of course, we got the email back from Docketwise that our client completed the questionnaire and sent it back to us for review, essentially. So we're going to go through, we can review the questions simply just in the questionnaire. And let's say we're going to look through if we have any reason to follow up with the client or whether just to proceed with preparing the forms. So let's check just how that looks. Okay. All right. I do see for the describing the circumstances, it seems a little brief. So what I'm going to do is I'll flag it. Now, when I flag a question, I'll also show a little bit more about this in just a moment. When you flag a question, that could either just emphasize it, bring more attention to it, kind of just let your client know it's important, or let your client know it needs follow up. And then also there's an option to filter out to only show questions that are flagged within in the questionnaire, which would reflect for both you and the client who's filling out the form or the questionnaire until that option is toggled back to show all questions. So like I said, I'm just going to flag this for now, and I'm going to leave a comment for my client as well, who seems to have I guess not completed this explanation of the the circumstance of their in-person meeting for this particular petition. So let's just say I'll tag him. I can just do that by doing the @ symbol, and then I'll type in his name. So this is Andy Ames. Choose him. Please out this section completely, as well as mention specific dates of meetings. So let's say now he will actually get an email notification regarding this, which will give him an email basically notifying them that he needs to fill out some other information on here. So let's say grant access, and then he'll be notified via email for that. So next, let's say we're going to keep going through here. Let's just say everything looks good here. On the application page, we're going to go next, just review Andy's general information. So I can see here, okay, this address was, all right. And I did see he did not indicate whether or not that's a different mailing address. So I can right here, I'll just flag and comment. This also the same as mailing address. as indicate. All right, so I have this flagged as well as a follow-up question for him. And let's see, the last 5 years. Okay, so he listed right here January 20th, 2017. So it doesn't appear that we have the 5 years that we need for this petition. So let's flag and comment this one as well. We also need other addresses in which you lived during the last 5 years. So we'll leave that question there. And so I see this residence is actually in Florida, which I guess would be a cause for concern. So after reviewing the rest of the information here, I remember that that was not mentioned here. So I'm going to ask my contact again on the application page right here, application tab. Appears that you did not mention Florida here. Are you leaving out any other places lived since your 18th birthday? We'll leave that comment as well. So we reviewed general, and let's review family now. So divorced. This is for, let's say, previous spouses, Paul Pierce. And let's just say I noticed this actually, I compared this name with the divorce certificate that we had on file for the client, and it appears to be a different name. So let's just say hypothetically that's a cause for concern. We'll flag this and comment it as well. This is appears on so let's just say it appears different from the name on file, and let's also say, is there another prior spouse, or did their name change? And also another thing I had actually neglected to mention before was that when a client accesses the smart form, they are actually able to reply to your comments as well. So we filled out, we flagged this, we asked a question. Let's move on just to see if there's anything else here. So we see information is missing here. So let's just say, please fill in missing information. And also for here as well. So next, let's advance on to the employment and education section. So we see it's just asking for the current employer, and that is all we have here. And let's just ask for the phone number as for the employer as well. All right, so as I had mentioned before, we have the option of just flagging these questions just to create more emphasis for them. And we also have the option to show only the flagged questions. So in order to show only the flagged questions, I'll go to more actions right here, and then I will click the option for flagged questions. And then consequently, I will see only the questions that are flagged on this smart form questionnaire. So I can then send this off to my client, and let's say, yes, everything looks good here. And then this is the only information I need, so I can share it with my client. Let's just go back to the matter, and we'll share that form from there. So I'm back at the matter. I click the forms tab right here. And let's say this is the one I want to invite. Let's say I'll check that box and share it to the portal. So yes, Andy will be the recipient. And then we can have, I guess, basically our client fill out that missing information as well as respond to those follow-ups as well. So just to show you how that works, I can pull this up. All right, so this is how my client would be seeing this at the moment. I still have that option toggled on for only showing the flagged questions. So this is what he would see as well. And just to show how this works, let's say, I'll just leave a hypothetical response here, just following up. And let's say I want to leave one here as well. And then do all of this from here as well. So as you can see, it is only showing the questions that have been flagged, as those are the only ones I wanted to follow up with. So let's get rid of that, and we will go back into the next topic. So let's say for this use case, we're going to flag questions on a smart form and then hide them before we send them. So I guess we would use this specific use case, say we're a law firm that only wants our clients to be filling out the minimum amount of information necessary. We will fill out their information and of course confirm it this way by just what appears on their documents, just to save our clients some time, if that is the case. So I will just pull up this contact for this example. Let's say we're doing a naturalization case for Nancy. We'll go into the form. And here it is. So let's just say we already created this. We already left some notes and flagged some questions as well, just to get a head start. So I will fill out this information. This isn't anything that my client needs to answer. So I'll fill this out, just the N400. And it is, of course, an application. Let's say we want these coming to the office. And let's say it was 3 years in marriage to a US citizen. So this is something I guess my client will want to respond to, so I'll flag it. And then also right here, let's see, this wasn't disclosed, so I'll flag it for the client to respond, as well as this this question and this question. And then I've also gone ahead and flagged the inadmissibility questions as well as just the other questions here at the bottom. So let's just say the beneficiary did not use an interpreter. No. And yes, we are including the G28 with the N400. And we're saying our representation does extend beyond this preparation of the application. So let's just go through the rest, flag things that we need to, and comment on things that we need to as well. So we have just some questions already here. I had already gone through basically saying we're going to use documents that are on file or that will be on file just to fill out this information and confirm it as well. So I'm just going to go through and flag the questions that I need my client specifically to answer that can't be filled out with the documentation that we'll be receiving as evidence for the case. So I will click the flag for this as well. I need them to be responding to that. That will also include this question. And I also need the 5 years of address history as well. Let's say I don't need them to answer this information. I just want it to be as quick as possible for them. And then this information can be filled out, as I had mentioned before, referencing the documentation on file. So I'd already left these comments. We don't need to do this one. We'll just leave a comment here. Or, of course, we already know. So female, we can cancel that comment. A number we don't need either, just because that'll be on the LPR card. And then let's also, I guess, flag this just in case she has an ELIS number from previous petitions or applications. So let's just also ask this, just because that can't be confirmed with any thing that we would have, as well as this question regarding parents being married before the 18th birthday. And we can also confirm that she can read and understand English. So this is already known, let's say, by our records. So we'll say Spanish. This will also just confirm with documentation. This we will ask, as we don't know this. And let's go through. We already have the phone numbers, so we don't need this. And then we'll just confirm this actually with, so let's go, we'll delete this comment. So we'll flag this as well, since we would not be able to discertain most likely the weight from a driver's license, whereas we could the other fields. So we'll flag that. That will make everything below show up. And let's go on to our family tab here. So we'll just go through, we need this information as well as any other information on this tab specifically. So they already confirmed actually that they were never previously married, so we don't need to flag this question for them. We're just going to do the same thing we did before, where we only show the flagged questions in order for the client just to focus their attention on those and fill out those. So we're going to just not flag this question because it was already confirmed by the client that they were never previously married before their current marriage, as well as her spouse had confirmed that they were never previously married as well. So we do have a need for this information because we don't know whether or not the client's parents have any US citizenship. So we'll flag those as well. And then also confirm that there were no children. So we'll leave a note for that. Okay. All right, finally, we'll advance to the Employment and Education tab. We will flag this question as well as this one. So for employment history as well as educational history within the past 5 years. And we'll advance to here. So this information about when they acquired their LPR status, we can disretain this from their LPR card. This as well. And we'll flag this question for them to follow up with it. So just to show the flagged questions only, we would go over 2 more actions as I had mentioned before. And we would show the questions option. So here, only the questions that I had flagged will be showing up here on the questionnaire until I toggle it back to show all questions. So we can just go through, see how that looks. Will be a condensed version for the client not to fill out as much information as they would have had to before. So we have just a few flagged questions for each tab. All right, so the next use case, let's say we're going to do a TPS petition. So we'll do, of course, go back to the dashboard, click Create New, click Form, and we'll choose the TPS petition we have right here. So we'll do that. We automatically get the forms to populate there. And we'll create a new contact, let's say for this one. Give a hypothetical name, of course. Daniel Velasquez. So we have that. Let's assign a matter as well. Create a matter. And then, of course, we'll just mark Daniel as the beneficiary for this. And then we'll do create form. Now, what's very helpful is that Docketwise actually has their translations stored locally, and you can translate any questions asked on the smart forms into another language. The options that we have are, of course, we have default English, we have Spanish, Portuguese, French, as well as some other languages such as Hindi, Russian, um, condensed Chinese, and Arabic. So right here, this is how it appears in English. And let's say we want our client to see this questionnaire in Spanish. Just because Spanish is the dominant language, it would make it easier for them to fill it out in that language and then get the accurate answers. So we'll choose, of course, Spanish right here. And then we will have all questions here appearing in Spanish after having selected that. So that is just one way in which Docketwise smart forms can very easily help you in your practice filling out smart forms or filling out immigration forms in general. So we have this translated into Spanish. And just a note, another thing as well, this functions like it does for the flagged question toggling. So I have toggled Spanish on. It will appear in Spanish for both myself and my client until I toggle it back to another English, let's say English, another language such as English, let's say. So now it's back in English. It would appear this way for my client as well. Let's say we're going to translate it back into Spanish again, just to send it out to the client. All right. And just to show you how that looks, we have all of these questions here translated so that the client can basically see these questions in their preferred language and then fill them out with their information. So let's go back and we're going to move on actually to custom intakes for smart forms. I had shown a custom intake before that was already made, and now I'm just going to show you how to make a custom intake. So for this example, let's say we would just want to, instead of sharing a questionnaire with, let's say, other information that wouldn't necessarily be filled out by the household member for an I-864A, we want to just create a custom intake for that one person to fill out. So in order to do that, we'll go to just the settings option on Docketwise, and we'll choose custom intakes. And we'll click the option for create new intake or create intake. Let's say we want this to be called household member questionnaire. And we'll click create intake template. So now that this is created, we'll be able to add all of the questions that we would like. For this one, we need full name. We're also going to need address. So we're going to need physical as well as mailing. So I'll add this question in as well for mailing address. And then we will also be asking the question for information about birthplace, birth date. So city of birth, we'll need this, state of birth, country of birth, as well as date of birth we'll need for this. And finally, let's say we'll need some information. Oh, we do also need, let's say, social security number. We'll add this question in as well. And as you see, I'm just adding in these questions by simply clicking the slider bar to enable that question, which is then subsequently populating it into my smart form questionnaire. Let's say now that we have the social security number question there, we will need a couple of things more. We're going to need some employment information. So from the general tab right here, we'll go over to work and school. So we'll get their employment status. We need to know whether or not they are employed, retired, unemployed. And let's say we also need information about their employment. So we'll just ask for the current employer. we'll have these details as well, just to ask the client. And next, we'll move on to income. So, all right, so we'll create a custom question for income. How we can do that right here is going to the custom tab within the setup for custom intake templates. From here, we'll create a question. Let's say, what is your annual income? Or let's say individual annual income. We'll leave that as a text field response short, and we'll add that question to our list of custom questions. And let's say we also want to leave document request for the IRS tax transcripts as well. So we'll add this in tax, please upload copies. Let's say PDF copies. Or 2018, 2019, and 2020. And then we will add this question as well. So we will enable these two questions and they will be added as well. Let's say I want them to upload their tax transcripts first before answering the question for their individual income. So now everything I've been doing has just been automatically saving, and I am just free to exit this at any time that I would like to create it. So let's say I want to create this as a smart form. Of course, I would go to create new, click form, and then choose that as my questionnaire right here. So that's just how I would create this. And I would like to just give another note here. So we'll open up this questionnaire. In order to edit it, we would just click the title. So household member questionnaire. We'll open this up. And from here, let's say that we just want to change something right here. So we want to add another custom question in here. Relationship to petitioner. That is what I had forgotten. So we'll add this in here as well. And then enable that to appear here. And one thing I did want to reach out or just clarify is that these tabs right here, general, immigration, family, work, and school, these are what we refer to as Docketwise pre-made questions, since these are already made in Docketwise and appear there. So the detail I wanted to share about these is that the responses for these questions will actually be saved into the Docketwise database for that client, and then actually be subsequently, if it's a field that appears for a form, that actual response will then also be populated into that smart form questionnaire, and therefore the immigration form. Another thing to note about these questions in general, immigration, family, work, and school, these questions can also be translated. So that does not actually go for custom questions. These will not be translated, and also they will not be synced into fields for that contact, with the exception of creating a custom attribute and asking that question to fill out that field for the custom attribute via custom intake, which we're going to get into in just a moment. So let's actually move on just to that. So we're going to create a custom intake. Let's say we'll go to settings and choose custom intake. Here, let's say we're going to create one. We'll call it TPS lead intake. So it's just made for leads. Actually, let's call it Venezuelan TPS. Venezuela TPS lead intake. So this is just something that we're going to send out to our leads who might qualify for Venezuela TPS. So we'll create this custom intake, and then we'll choose all the questions that we would want to include in this. So let's say we want to include name. Let's say we want to include phone number. Let's say just mobile, and daytime. We'll include both of those, email address, and we'll also choose nationality, let's say. That should be under immigration. Let's double check that. Okay, it is under general. So citizen contacts, country of citizenship or nationality. We will choose this one. Let's say we're going to go to immigration now just for entries. So we'll choose the most recent entry. Try to get all this information possible. And as well as some other information here. All right. Now let's include all of these questions actually, other than just that one. And then we'll also have information for their first entry into the United States. So we'll include some sub-questions here as well. Now that we have that, let's say we want to include questions for immigration proceedings. So we'll do that. Please list immigration proceedings that this contact has been in. We'll ask for all this information as well. And we'll ask also about if they're in removal proceedings. Now, let's say we want to see if they have any previous petitions as well. So we'll enable this Docketwise pre-made question, just asking for information about past petitions. So we'll go through, see what other sub-questions we would like to include here. Petition type, and that looks good. So next we'll actually move on to the interesting part of having custom attributes show up and populate into a custom intake, be able to be asked there, and then have that question be filled in for a on a either on the dashboard for the matter or the contact, or actually send that to a contact in a custom template and have them fill out that information for the custom field. So just to go ahead and do that, we'll go back to settings. As I had mentioned before, everything here in my custom intake has saved. So I'll go back to settings and I'll choose the option for custom attributes right here. Next, I'll create some custom attributes. Let's say it's a form for leads. So I want to ask them, how do they hear about the firm? And as I had mentioned, these questions actually do not translate through Docketwise. I would have to do this translations by hand myself in this question if I want to, just when indicating that question. So just for internal purposes, I don't need to have any Spanish on just this field. So I'll just say source for from where they had heard about the firm. So I'll leave some options here. I chose list. Let's say Facebook ad. Instagram ad. Google search. And let's say referral and personal referral. And I'll indicate this custom attribute. I want this to be saved, let's say specifically to a contact, how that contact learned about our firm. And let's say I will choose another question. Let's also choose we'll choose a drop down for this one too. So this question, what I'll be asking, since it's going to be asked in to my leads who will be who are interested in TPS, I guess I'll ask a qualifying question if they have a fear of return. A fear of return to if they're returned to their country of origin. So let's just call that fear of return, and then I will also just choose yes, and no. Let's also save that to a contact as well. So I'll create this, and I'll go back and include those into my custom intake. So I just created those custom intake attributes, and in order to include those into my custom, I include those custom attributes, and I'll be including them into my custom intake. So to include those into my custom intake, I'll go to settings, click custom intakes, and then also I'll just click on the name to edit that. So we're working on this one. And let's say we want to include those questions. We'll go to the custom tab here, and then we will see these questions right here. So what did you hear about us? And let's say we want that in Spanish too. Oops, sorry about that. And we'll ask that in Spanish as well. I guess this would be ask that question, and then fear of return. We'll make this into a question as well. I'm not editing the title of the custom attribute that will appear on the matter or the contact overview page. I'm simply tying a question to that custom attribute and how it will appear in a custom intake. So we'll ask this question here as well. Let's say, do you fear your life will be in danger if you return to your country? Of origin. And let's say we also want to ask that in Spanish. And we'll have the Spanish question there as well. So I have these questions ready to go to be included into my custom intake, and just to retrace my steps. Those appeared after I added the custom attributes. I went back to my custom intake, clicked on custom tab, and they appeared here. I edited their names. So I'll add these in here as well. So we have this already. Let's say instead of having this tab, we want to make it something else. With the custom questions, regardless of what kind of custom question it is, you can have a different tab for your custom questions. So I can make as many tabs as I would like. Let's just say I want to make one other tab just for my client to fill out. So in order to create that tab, I'm on custom right here. I'll click the checkbox for add a tab, and we'll just call this something in Spanish for the client. Let's just say more information or something like that. And we'll add that tab here. So that tab has now been added. And in order to have that appear in that tab, I'll just click and drag these into that tab from other requests. And then I could also reorder these if I would like. So let's say I do this. And there we go. So now that I have this ready to go, let's say I'll share it with a hypothetical lead for Venezuelan TPS. So I'll do create new, choose form. And then from there, I'll click on that custom intake that I just created. So Venezuelan lead, Venezuela TPS lead intake. I'll choose a client, let's say Daniel, and then I will, let's also assign him as the beneficiary, of course, or the primary contact for this. So now that I have indicated all of the correct information, I'll move on to create form. And here is how it will appear for my contact as well. So you can see here, we have the general tab, immigration and travel, as well as this right here for more information. Let's say, of course, we want this to be translated. We'll just go through and click more actions and choose Spanish right here. So we have all this information in Spanish, as well as the custom questions I created with also my own, let's say, internal translation of that question. So now our client could, in here, let's say they indicate that they do have a fear of return to the country of origin. And they also said, we want to keep track of where our leads are coming from, of course. So we asked that, and they responded it was from a Facebook ad. All right, so after it, let's say if the client was filling out, they'd have a button here, of course, on the last page to send that for to us for return, for review, and we could just have that information automatically appear. So after entering this here, I'm going to go ahead and show how that reflects on the contacts pages, the contacts overview page. So we'll go back, and then here we see that they do have a fear of return. They indicated that. We can also follow possibly about asylum. And also we do have this information of how they heard about our firm, so we could possibly invest more resources into a specific, let's say, source of leads to, I guess, prioritize and use more wisely the resources that we're allocating to marketing expenses. So that pretty much does it. I'm going to go ahead and review the questions. I see that a couple people have asked questions, and we'll see if there's anything that I am able to answer. Do you have to put the @ in the comment section, or will it work without? Oh, good question. All right, so when I was commenting on the questionnaire, actually I put the @ symbol just to basically give my client an email notification and also an invite tied to that email notification to edit that smart form. So I guess the response to your question is no, I don't have to put the @ in the comment in order for my client to see that comment. That would just give him an invitation to the smart form, as well as a notification, of course, giving him access as well. So that is actually all of the questions we have received. I appreciate everybody's attendance, and it's been a pleasure. Hope you all have a nice day.